Very warm good afternoon. Uh, on behalf of somebody who is actually from Trivandrum, a very warm welcome to this great city. And I think we should also set the context of the space that we are sitting in, which is also a product of cooperative movement in Kerala. The Arts and Crafts Village is it was established and run by the Uralangal Labor Cooperative Service Society. So please feel free to explore the 8.5 acres where 100 artisans are practicing their craft, and you can see all of them hopefully during lunch break and in the evenings. It was wonderful to listen to all of you, to meet with all of you in this particular context, where we're going to talk about Kerala's experiments in digital tomorrows. Unfortunately, Alvin George couldn't be here. He would have talked about the Savari app, which would have been a nice segue because, as Sheikh was talking about the policy in Rajasthan, before the policy was made, Savari app was introduced to the Rajasthan government as an example of how a cooperative model can be built for ride sharing and to bring the drivers together. So it's something I wish Alvin was here and met with Ken as well. Secondly, like Kiran had pointed out, the WhatsApp groups, which become extremely effective. It was during COVID 2020 that there was a WhatsApp group which ended up creating the strategy paper for Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission, which is what now we are all talking about. So very effective cooperative models are getting created in the digital platform. So before I pass on to the speakers, and this is a lightning talk model where they all get 7 minutes to present. And I'll introduce each of them before we start. I would like to just point out a little bit thing from Seymour Papard's paper in 1980s. Mindstorm is a very famous paper about how computational advancements can affect education, in which he says, suppose 100 years ago, the before the automobiles came in, we had tried to improve our transportation by doing research on horse carriages. We would probably have never gotten anywhere. And I feel very similar when we talk about existing models, talking about digital transformation. Usually it's about introducing an app here or an accounting software there and so on, which probably is not the way to go. So the more we come in from very, very diverse group and pool in our resources and brains together, probably something that extraordinary and unexpected can happen. That's what we hope can happen here. So in the absence of, and you might look at this particular card where there is an Arun Surendran and then there is an Arun and then there is a Nagesh Surendran. So you might think there is a dearth of names in India, which is not true. It's just that IT for Change probably put us all together in the spirit of cooperation. So we'll have Nagesh Surendran sir present first. He is a member of the State Planning Board and he's also a member of the Board for Livestock Management. By training, he's an economist and an agriculture specialist. So looking forward to hearing from you, sir. So we'll start with him. I invite Sri Nagesh Surendran.
Yeah, there I am. So Kerala believes and practices public action. Cooperative is a way of life for us. We have a number of cooperatives right from Uralingal to food cooperatives and also a number of packs. The state tops in the SDG index, except one, that is in the case of drinking water because of some other reason. And we aim at productivity, profitability, and sustainability in agriculture and the primary sector as a whole. The primary sector could not achieve its potential fully because there was a fall in net zone area. There was a low returns to farming, and there is a predominance of small farms, which we call as homesteads. These are tiny pieces of land. The area is just 0.18 hectare, the average land area. And because of this, we are unable to usher in innovation in a big way, because most of the innovations can be practiced in larger fields only. So we are working on it, but we agree that we could not fully cash in on these innovations. So there we are. Most of the Kerala cooperatives are in the financial sector known as primary agriculture cooperative societies, PACs. Originally, they were formed to cater to the sector, agriculture sector as a whole, from production till marketing to value addition. But unfortunately, they became institutions where financial transactions take place. And we want to put it back. The planning board is the policy body for the state, and we want to put agriculture back to the sector. So we took a policy decision in 2022 budget. People were talking about policy, practicing policy. We thought we will put it back through budget. Budget is the right tool for ushering in innovation or any policy matter for the state. We tried cooperatives as an alternate platform after COVID-19. So the last one, the SITA ecosystem, Cooperative Initiative for Technology-Driven Agriculture. As I pointed out earlier, technology is at the heart of this. I agree with the ethos of platform cooperatives that technology alone cannot solve the problems. But technology, when used democratically and in connection with productive sector interventions through cooperatives, can create wonders. And so we are here. We have been implementing this project for the last 2 years. The second year is ending. And it aims to promote technology-driven farming, scientific thought. There is no room for any complacency. There has to be a technology embedded in the project in order to be considered. So these are some of the technologies. I am not going to read it. These are some of the technologies that we implemented through the cooperatives. Right. We focused on homestead farming, small plots, varied enterprises. We did not practice farming alone. We, in the sense, I own it up, our cooperatives, acting on the decision taken at the grassroots level to formulate the projects and implement with the support of government. So we focus on homestead farming, small plots, varied enterprises, recycling of resources, better risk mitigation, and climate resilience. So these were the objectives, or these were the slogans on which we worked. And there is a scope for aggregation of farm products and sending to the market, and thereby building the income stream of farmers. So I put it as a constraint that it is not can affect income realization for the farmers. So we are constrained, and we are looking forward to having a meaningful discussion with the help of platform cooperatives on this. The way forward for India. In the last Keralium, when the NABARD chairman, Sri K.V. Shaji, was talking, he told that what Kerala does today, India does tomorrow. There are certain examples. So we think that this is a way forward. The national policy of cooperatives is coming up in a big way, but I fear that it is lopsided towards financial cooperatives. It should try to address more on other cooperatives. So this risk mitigation in farming and climate mitigation and adaptation will be central to primary sector projects. We have tried to incorporate in the SITA projects. There are dedicated agriculture cooperatives which operate entirely on value chain needs to be formed. That is, there are certain specific areas, seeds, cooperatives. So there are the specialized cooperatives can be formed with the help of this cooperative policy. I firmly believe that in general, platform cooperatives have a greater role to play in bringing in efficiency of processes, especially cutting down the cost of farming along with supply chain. Specifically, I see a significant role in aggregation of products in SITA and also in handling data. So data cooperatives can also be formed. That's also a future. And in SITA, since it pertains to farming, we need the support of other cooperatives like water cooperatives and also fertilizer cooperatives and also solar cooperatives, which work in the area of energy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I invite Arun Krishnan. Kerala Food Platform already has the word platform in it, so the cooperative part is taken care of. He is from a software background as an engineer, as a manager, and then switched on to this wonderful endeavor. So here is an experiment that Kerala has done and is going pretty well. Let's learn more about it from Arun.
Thank you, Nagesh sir, for putting such a nice context. And what I'm going to present you logically follows what he just, the context that he just set up. So the primary problem that the Kerala Food Platform was aiming to address is the problem of agriculture, sustainable agriculture livelihoods in Kerala. So like sir was talking about, there is a problem of fragmented land holdings, which essentially prevent economies of scale, which prevent the farmers here from effectively having a collective bargaining power in the market, which eventually leads to them having a lower share of the consumer's rupee. So that is a problem that the Kerala Food Platform aims to address. And also there's a problem that the domestic market is also, there's a oversupply of produce coming in from outside states. And there is a concern of safe to eat food in the supply chain because there has been a high prevalence of pesticides and insecticide residues, which has been shown in tests in produce coming into the state. So this is a larger context into which this Kerala Food Platform project was started. So to start off with, to solve this problem, what we understood is that there is a lot of decentralized local agriculture ecosystems operating throughout the state who have been supporting farmers and who have been ensuring agricultural livelihoods. So one of these examples is a cooperative agricultural society called Paliyakal Service Bank, which is based in Erikara in Cochin. So Paliyakal Bank has been supporting almost community of almost 400 farming families, and they have been doing it over the past 25 years, where they have been supporting completely organic, locally grown produce. The farmers, they produce products in a range of products like pokali rice, fruits, vegetables, medicinal plants, flowers like jasmine, dairy, eggs, and fish. So over the past 25 years, the bank has been supporting these farmers. And what the bank does is basically they have a well-developed system of self-help groups where each self-help group has their elected leaders. And then there is a regular system of meetings where the meetings are minuted and then the decision points are always minuted. And then they have a very rigorous system of review and conducting these sort of meetings. And the SHGs are well organized. And each SHG is basically based for a particular product line, say an SHG for rice, an SHG for fruits and vegetables, likewise. So what we found that the bank essentially gave end-to-end support for this each SHG who's doing the farming practice, and then starting from giving them subsidized inputs, giving them technical support in terms of having an in-house agriculture officer, and whatever produce that they produce, all of it gets procured by the bank at a rate that is higher than the market rate. So, and in addition to that, there's some sort of a social security also system where the bank has been, giving additional benefits in terms of bonus for festivities like Onam, etc. So that sort of a system has been developed there over a period of time, and there has been a community that has been supported likewise. So what the bank faced with the problem is that this was not sustainable for them in the long run, because they are incurring a loss by supporting these communities. So that's where the Kerala Food Platform came in as an aggregation platform, a solution that would enable the cooperative with a set of digital tools and traceability services and market connect, so that they can basically on a plug and play model, they can onboard their farmers, they can connect to the market, and then Paliakal as a brand can stand out in the market as a homegrown, safe to eat brand that is supported by a traceability system. So that's what I'm going to show you here. So basically, what I would say is Kerala Food Platform is basically, I would say it's a public digital infrastructure, in the sense that it is a customizable framework or customizable platform that can be applied to local agriculture ecosystems in the state. They can be cooperatives, they can be farmer producer organizations, they can be SKS or Swashraya Karshaka Sangangal, SKS, or these sort of local farming communities. And so the core design considerations that went into the platform is that the platform has open data, transparent governance system, and the provision for each agriculture ecosystem to have their own set of enabling tools. And okay. The core USP of the platform here is that it has traceability service, which is that there is end-to-end traceability across the supply chain. Starting from the farmer KYC, which is done on the platform, we have information and data supporting each stage of the supply chain, and the platform is also compliant with certification processes like PGS India, so that whatever produce that comes on the platform, there is a supporting data that shows the process, and thereby the product coming under the Paliakal brand can be seen as a premium product in the market. So this is about Paliakal Bank in Erikara. It's a beautiful place. If you can, we should definitely visit. It's in Cherai, near Cherai Beach in Cochin. So the thing about Paliakal is that it's a place that is not conducive for agriculture conventionally, because there is a lot of saltwater intrusion that is coming in because it's a coastal area, and thereby the region, the productivity is per se low. But what Paliakal is really good for is there is what you call a special variety of rice called Pokali rice, which has been given GI tag, and Pokali has also been looked into as one of the options for sustainable agriculture, because places where there would be seawater intrusion as a result of global warming and rising sea levels, Pokali rice is something that would be seen as an alternative. So Pokali is one of the main products which Paliakal Bank is currently producing. They have annual production of around 50 metric ton of Pokali. The bank is currently into value-added products of Pokali rice as well. So what we've implemented in Paliakal is basically we've given them an entire ecosystem management tool, which has the mobile app and the platform at the front ends for the end customers. So what bank has done is basically the bank has aggregated all the farmers. Their data has been uploaded into the system, and they have a system where the bank can announce the procurement price, and then the farmers can express their intent, and then the produce get procured, and there is record of all these procurements, and this gets transferred into a QR based traceability system which is put on the packaging, and the customer who orders this from the front end, once the product reaches them, they get to scan it, and then they can see who was actually which batch and who was the farmers who contributed to this product. So that's a system that's been implemented there, and this is a pilot that we've done now. What we understand is there are problems, challenges of scale, and we need to aggregate more cooperatives, more farmers, so that this becomes a viable business model. Okay, thank you.
Now, multiple times already in this half day, Trevor has reminded us about the importance of law and the side of the state and the governance that's so important for setting up and making successful. So now we have the third speaker today, Sapni G K. She is now a climate change manager at Youth Ki Awaaz, but she's also strongly looking at researching the side of law and how legal matters need to change to get platform cooperatives in Kerala working. So
I do not have slides, and I know it's very close to lunch, so please bear with me for a few minutes. And I guess this goes back to the conversation that we were having previously, the previous policy pitch. And we'd connected to what Mr. Nagesh was talking about, also how we can make these changes happen. So if the cooperative sector's legal preparedness is to be considered, Kerala is an interesting model for anybody interested from across the globe to look at, because there are opportunities to enhance the law and policy framework here, but there are already positions in place in the law and policy framework that can take us towards a better framework for regulating and pushing further the idea of platform cooperativism. So the point that I come across platform cooperativism personally is while I was looking at the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission strategy paper. So that is a 350 plus page long document, which essentially puts some incredible amount of strategic policy thinking in place, which is not usually something we see regularly come out of India. And I think even globally also, that's not something that is often repeated because of primarily political reasons. So if there is a thought that holds the potential for social change through inclusive development, that is something I think that drives the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission strategic thinking, the policy document that looks into the strategic plan for the KKEM. So from there, we also look at the fact, like Anita mentioned previously, that Kerala is one of the very few places across the globe that has the right to internet as something that not just the courts in the state have upheld, but also something that the government is looking at pushing further with an active intent, and something that has also through K-phone, and something that has also gone on to the idea of BharatNet across the country. So when we look specifically at the legal regime that operates in the cooperative sphere in India, we have the model law, which comes from the 1912 draft law called the Cooperative Societies Act. And that is what the Kerala Cooperative Societies Act 1969 is also based on. So here, my personal research as well as ICA's research sort of highlights the point that Kerala's law that operates in this field is something that is more traditional and more stringent as compared to other laws that have come on later, say, for example, in Karnataka, for example, in Andhra Pradesh, which has contributed a lot to the changes in the sphere in India itself. So what is the problem with the model law and the Kerala law that is based on the 1912 model law? Obviously, something that comes from over 100 years before, when the British were in India, that comes with that baggage of the lack of alignment of interests. So on top of that, we also have the problem. I wouldn't say it's a problem, but right now I think it's something that restrains the boom of cooperatives in Kerala, is that it's more or less exclusively focused on agriculture and credit, while in Kerala, something that we have more often we are seeing these days, and which is something the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission document also acknowledges, that we have scope, or we would rather need to look at the knowledge sector, the services sector, with more intent, so that we can also develop that space. And that is a place where platform cooperativism can come in. So based on the current framework of the Cooperative Societies Act, we see that there are four major points where there is scope for improvement. One is obviously the compliance hurdles, and that's something cooperatives in India have time and again voiced out as a concern, because we have high amount of compliance hurdles for cooperatives as against the ease of compliances that has gone into companies, into other forms of holdings, into even something that still holds to the same level of compliance as it was from the beginning of time, is the Partnerships Act, I believe. Other than that, every other organizational structure of holding a body corporate has gone through some sort of reduction of compliances. And there is intent again in Kerala to change that. Recently, in 2023 September, we've seen a bunch of amendments that has sort of reduced compliance hurdles in terms of AGMs, in terms of in terms of cooperatives and their elections. There are a bunch of, I'm not going into the details, there are a bunch of concerns that cooperatives have had, ranging from elections to AGMs, etc., which have been reduced in retrospective, which I believe is very useful. Another point of concern is the bureaucratic overreach, comes again back from the the British model of the law, British model that the law follows. And dispute resolution is something that's very critical there, where the dispute resolution goes into the hand of the registrar without very useful appeal mechanisms. Third and fourth, I think it kind of links together. One is that the autonomy part of cooperative societies in Kerala has a lot of scope for improvement in terms of a step back in government interventions, in elections, and also in transparency mechanisms in terms of audits. So what can the KKEM do? Probably in the service sector, as I was mentioning earlier, because we have two very interesting parts that operate in the law in Kerala. One is with respect to the election commission for co-ops. That's something that rarely any other state law has in India. And the national law obviously does not have that. Same goes with the ombudsman scheme for cooperatives that we have. Again, does not exist in a lot of other laws, I think even across the world, something as operating as niche as in cooperatives. So there is a space for effort for new people, if new people are to be attracted into cooperatives and using a platform cooperatives as an idea that we want younger people to join. I think it's time for some radical shift. And for me, that radical shift is that we look at platform cooperatives as a separate entity. And that's something I have been thinking about for a while, that, in India, we have multiple types of corporate holding structures. We have one-person companies, we have producer companies. All of these have been given separate statuses under the company's law. So why not think about platform cooperatives as a different kind of holding where we can use positive regulation to push them further, to support their growth. And Kerala has been doing incredible work in terms of trying to rally and advocate for the cooperative model that we currently have and to improve it under the Multi-State Cooperative Act, as well as the cooperative policy that is in working. So I think rightfully it might be interesting for Kerala to ask for more independence under the cooperative regime at the center, as well as to push for a new kind of entity that is a radical change that we have in the form of platform cooperatives. Thank you so much.
As we have 5 minutes, we can take some questions. Speakers would be happy to answer.
I have a question for Dr. Nagesh. And my question is, when you look at alternative models of imagining how the agri-stack should work, what do you think we should do in terms of controlling the ways in which data is aggregated and then shared and reused, so that we don't end up in a situation where when we create data cooperatives, the data that they share doesn't become a free-for-all that can be cannibalized by big tech and the big agri-tech firms?
That's more of a policy question, but I'll try to answer that. Data cooperatives are not common in India. I just push that idea as a practitioner of policy. When I look at, I deal with 10 sectors, right from agriculture to environment to forest and all. In Kerala, we have a real problem with quality data. So that is my concern, that can an alternate system be brought in wherein availability of quality data on time without any distorted figures is available to me as a policymaker. So this is how, this is why I want to have an alternate system of data holding and dissemination in the primary sector. Okay, so now coming to your question, it can be transparent, because when we build in the democratic principles of cooperatives into the data cooperative, in the new system that we dream or think, whatever it be, I'm sure that it can bring in a lot of transparency and seamless transfer of data, seamless communication, seamless transfer of data between various entities, and it can bring down the competition also. in my opinion, data should be free and fair. So this is what I see. Okay, thank you.
Hello, I am Abdul Nasser from Perindalmanna, and General Manager, EMS Cooperative Hospital. I am talking in Malayalam. It is more, yeah, enjoy. എൻ്റെ ചോദ്യം എന്താ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഡിജിറ്റൽ ഡാറ്റ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോംസ് that can be used by business B2B terms. Now we are today morning we are discussing about the utilization of digital data for ultimate users. There are a conflict between if it is B2B, who will provide the platform, Amazon or IBM or Google. They are providing a platform separately. But in cooperative sector, who will provide? Who will arrange all these? There are a lot of investigation also required. So a combined effort of all cooperatives to invest in the platform first and make use of that. Okay, thank you.
To answer your question, yes, I absolutely agree that there needs to be a collectively owned digital infrastructure for the cooperatives. So what we've been envisaging with the Kerala Food Platform is also something similar, where we would ideally want it to be adopted by all decentralized agriculture production ecosystems, and that will be a shared platform, and there should be an entity who will be a non-partisan entity or a collectively owned entity who will basically take ownership of the data and in trusteeship for all the participants. So I think right now KDISC is sort of holding that role as a cooperative themselves. So but yeah, there should be a clear idea on that, who will be that entity.
സാർ, ഇന്നലത്തെ പത്രസമ്മേളനത്തിലും പല പ്രാവശ്യം വന്ന ചോദ്യം ഇതാണ്, ഫ്രീ ആൻഡ് ഓപ്പൺ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ, നമ്മുടെ IC4s. അപ്പോൾ അവർ തന്നെയാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ സെക്രട്ടേറിയറ്റിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന സ്പാർക്ക് ആയിരുന്നാലും ഇതെല്ലാം നമ്മൾ തന്നെ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന സാധനങ്ങളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ പ്രോബബ്ലി വിൽ യൂസ് മോർ ഓഫ് ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻസ് ലൈക്ക് IC4s to make sure that we can develop and come up with technologies, and that can again be done in a very cooperative sector. But one of the things that Sapni said rightly, right now it's very difficult for cooperatives to get into software development because the purpose of the sectors in which they can operate is restricted. So we need a lot of legal changes there. So with that, we'll conclude this session and break for lunch. I'd like to thank all the three speakers, and special thanks to Sapni for acknowledging the Knowledge Economy Mission Strategy paper. It took us quite a few months to put that together. Thank you very much. And the other thing, it's the student volunteers that you see here are from my college, Trinity College of Engineering. And the reason why I have them here is this is the only way they learn about cooperatives. And every time they want to set up an enterprise, the only model we have right now is the corporate model. So hopefully at the end of 3 days, and we'll have the Startup Mission CEO also here, we'll come up with something that students are encouraged to start up their own cooperative. Thank you very much.